We are live. It is the biggest episode of the Sports Room Talk Show we have ever done because with me to preview Week 3 Green Bay Packers at Cleveland Browns is the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who is en route to 1 million subscribers. He did 30 and 30, including jumping through a table in Buffalo. Hopefully you still don't have a mark on your elbow from that. He is one of the 4 guys who inspired me to become a content creator. So this is an absolute bucket list to have you on the show. The one, the only, Tom Grossi.
Thank you so much for having me. What an intro. That was, and yes, the scar is very much still there on the elbow. That is never going away ever.
Okay.
But it led to the greatest picture of me ever taken, so I'm okay with it.
I wanted to be there when you came to Cleveland, but unfortunately I was out of town. But rest assured, if you come back to Cleveland for 30 and 30, I will make sure I'm there.
That's what we're aiming for this summer. We'll make it happen. We'll rock.
All right, sounds good. But I have always wanted to see the Packers in Cleveland. Like there's just something about the Packers. I'm like, it's that logo. It's the colors, green and yellow, or I'm sorry, green and gold. It's the history, Aaron Rodgers, Charles Woodson, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, BJ Raji, Julius Peppers, I believe played for you guys, if I'm not mistaken.
He did, free agent, yeah.
Okay. Vince Lombardi, Curly Lambeau. Like, you guys are just such a storied franchise, and you know what it's like to win. And then there's us. It's such a stark contrast between the two franchises. It's not even funny.
Hey, listen, you'll always have that win against the Steelers in that wild card weekend. I think as a nation, we will always remember that.
Yes. But it's interesting you say that because, like, a lot of the talk this week following that Ravens game is Kevin Stefanski on the hot seat? And for me, at least, and I want to get your take on this, I don't believe he should be. I know, like, we went 3-14 last year, and it hasn't always been great, but we've gotten to the playoffs twice. We should have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round. That targeting penalty or no call was stupid, and I hate the call where the ball goes out of the back of the end zone. Touchback. That's what it was. And then he got us into the playoffs last year. Yes, we got destroyed by Houston, but that was with Joe Flacco. Like, can we give Stefanski some credit?
Well, I mean, not to be confused with Steven Stefanski, of course, but I feel like I don't know how hot the seat is getting because I feel like you can't even properly evaluate him without looking at the front office and the ownership as a whole, right? I mean, like, obviously the Deshaun Watson trade, regardless of even the optics when it happened, it was just a failure, right? Just the amount of draft capital, the amount of money, it just did not work out. And it was going to be difficult to make that work out unless Deshaun Watson was like that incredible quarterback that you saw glimpses of when he was playing for Houston. But that didn't pan out. And so now you mentioned it, like bringing Joe Flacco to the playoffs or, kind of leading the team that Joe Flacco brought to the playoffs. I feel like this year you go and you draft a couple of quarterbacks. You're kind of throwing a lot of darts at the wall and you're kind of just seeing what sticks. I think without having a franchise QB, it is really difficult to try and gauge that. Now, that being said, I wouldn't be surprised you're talking within the next season or two, if none of these quarterbacks work out and there's still no traction, that maybe Stefanski's seat is getting a little bit warmer. But yeah, it's tough to kind of blame it on him just when you kind of see the state of the quarterback position.
Yeah. I was not on the Joe Flacco train when he led us to the playoffs in 2023, because I don't know if you're this way, but for me, I don't forgive and forget. Like, he was with the Baltimore Ravens for the longest time from 2008 to 2018. For me, the Ravens are our biggest rivals. So, like, I view them the way you view the purple incarnation of Satan.
Sure.
So, at least for me, when he joined the Browns, I'm like, I will not root for him.
It's also like he's a stopgap, right? Like he's not going to be, even if Joe Flacco led you to the divisional round, I don't think that he's anybody's franchise quarterback anymore. But like he's a guy who can go out there and play, and like maybe he'll win you a few games, and he can go on a hot streak because he's a veteran quarterback. But the problem is, like, you need to find your guy, and whether it's Joe Flacco or whatever QB carousel that you want to get on, until you have that guy, it's going to be tough to kind of get some stability on that team.
I very much agree. Like, I really liked when we drafted Dillon Gabriel out of Oregon. And so I would love to see him start this game against the Packers, but I'm not sure I want him in the firing line against Rashawn Gary and, well, Micah Parsons, because yeah, no, I don't know if I want a rookie quarterback going against that.
Yeah, don't throw him into the fire immediately. And like, listen, I'm sure that we're gonna see, Dillon Gabriel or Shadur Sanders at some point during the season, right? Whether that's going to be much later in the season when, if the Browns are out of it, or it's going to be, hey, Joe Flacco isn't giving us what we want to see. Let's see what the new guys got. So I imagine at some point, and with Judkins coming back, or I said, should actually taking the field for the first time last week, if he's able to kind of develop and you're able to have a consistent run game, that's going to help a rookie quarterback. And so maybe that'll take some of the pressure off of him, whenever he starts.
Right. Whereas with your guy, Jordan Love, at least for me, and I want to know when you got on the bandwagon for him, but for me, it was when he got you guys into the divisional round against the 49ers. I'm like, okay, he looks legit. And what really cemented it, at least from my perspective, was you guys drafting Matthew Golden this year. That's the first time you've drafted a wide receiver in over 20 years. And then a week before the season, you go, oh, Micah Parsons, you're available? Okay, we'll take you.
Yeah, I mean, for Jordan Love, because obviously he didn't play the first few years. And when we saw him, his first start was against Kansas City. It was on the road. It was when Rodgers got COVID that year. And so, like, we saw him and he was okay, right? Like, he was all right. It wasn't anything super duper special. But when he actually was a starter, that first season, there was a lot of consistency issues with the offensive line, with receivers, and also with Jordan Love turning the ball over. I mean, there were plenty of games, the Denver game, the Raiders game, where he was throwing like just terrible interceptions. And it was like, oh man, like this team is just not gelling. This offense is not flowing. They're not putting up points. But it was the game, actually, the Thanksgiving game against the Lions later that year, going in on a short week against Detroit, who was the best team in the division. And they beat the crap out of the Lions. And like they were injured, like, they had guys missing. And there was kind of this expectation of like, oh man, are we going to get destroyed? And it was the complete opposite. And Love looked phenomenal. And some of those throws that he made were superb. And that whole back end of the season, he was fantastic. I mean, he was setting records against the Cowboys, and he would have had one of the highest, I think it was passer ratings in a playoff game, but then they had to put him back in after they pulled him against the Cowboys. So yeah, I mean, like that was when it was like, oh, okay, he could put it together. And even last year, when dealing with injury and he missed a few games, there are always those glimpses of like, wow, like that's what the potential is. I can see why the Packers paid him $55 million. And heading into this season, it's like you said, they got the receivers, they got extra protection as well, whether it was in free agency with Banks, whether it was Belton in the draft, or whether it was going and drafting 2 wide receivers with their first 3 picks. Yeah, this seems like a Packers team that's definitely all in on the offense. They got Josh Jacobs, who hasn't been the most productive over the first 2 weeks. He's gotten touchdowns, continuing that streak, but yards per carry is not the greatest, and he might have a tough time this week against the Cleveland Browns defense because you guys did a really nice job against Derrick Henry. But yeah, Jordan Love is definitely the guy in Green Bay, and I think they can win a Super Bowl with him.
Yeah, I actually have you guys beating Lamar and the Ravens in Super Bowl 60.
I will take that.
That would be an amazing game.
And we'll see that matchup too a couple of weeks before the end of the season because the Ravens are going to be coming to Lambeau.
Yeah. That is going to be a very good game. Love having you in the chat, Renan. No, you mentioned it. Like, we kept Derrick Henry in check. You know, we had all that trash talk leading up to the Ravens game. But then we kind of, like you said in your predictions video, we kind of forgot about Lamar Jackson. He said, okay, I'm just going to beat you. And what worries me is the fact that you look at the Packers defensive line, you've got Rashawn Gary on one side, you've got Micah Parsons on the other. Myles Garrett has been the most effective when he's had a Robin on the other side. Like when we had Zadarius Smith on the opposite side.
I know him well.
Yes, you do. And when we had Jadeveon Clowney on the opposite side. Well, we don't have either one of them. Mason Graham is nice, but he's a rookie. So right now, Myles Garrett is just going to be getting double teamed like crazy. And when I look at our defense, there's nobody else that really scares you. So you're like, it should be pretty easy work for Jordan Love, at least from my perspective.
Well, it's interesting you say that because that's kind of where we were with the Packers pass rush, you know, over these past couple of years, because the last time that we had a really good pass rush was Zadarius and Preston Smith, you know, with that free agency, bringing them both in, they were both able to get after the quarterback. And it was like, all right, well, which one are you going to double? And then even when Rashawn Gary started, you know, getting better and better, then it was like, all right, well, we're just going to double Rashawn Gary. And Packers fans will know, especially on the D line, you know, trying to get somebody next to Kenny Clark has been like the goal forever, and they just never did it. And so heading into this season, we're like, okay, if Lucas Van Ness, who was a top 15 draft pick, if he can develop, maybe our pass rush will be better because it was not great last year. And then, like you said, they go and get Micah Parsons, who's a game changer. And it's not just because Micah Parsons is so good. It's because he is going to command that kind of attention from the offensive line, which allows guys like LVN, Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt to get after the quarterback. And so when you don't have that opposing rusher on the other side, I mean, even look at the Raiders too, right? Like Max Crosby, phenomenal pass rusher. TJ Watt, great pass rusher. But if you don't have somebody that's there to take the most of the opportunities that they are going to be on one-on-one, it's tough.
Yeah, I agree with you. But it's like you guys just lost Jaden Reed. That's how you say it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. To a collarbone injury, but you still have like, well, I know Christian Watson's also injured, but you still have Matthew Golden, you still have Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, if I'm not mistaken, both.
Yep. Yeah, you got both of them. Yeah, Romeo Dobbs, you got him as well.
Yep.
You know,
Josh
Savion
Jacobs.
Williams. Yep.
You use Josh Jacobs in the passing game a lot.
Sure.
Denzel Ward usually travels with the opposing team's number one, because when we play Cincinnati, he's usually matched up with Jamar Chase. So, but
Love
when I
look at Denzel Ward, I love Denzel Ward, man, he's a great player.
But so let me ask you this: since you don't have Christian Watson, you don't have Jaden Reed, who would you say is your number one?
Oh, and this is kind of the question going into last season, and we never got a definitive answer, right? Because like, oh, all these guys have potential, and one of the guys we didn't mention was Dontavian Wicks. Like he had a nice week last week. So Tucker Kraft was obviously the leading receiver in that Washington game, and who knows? I mean, like he really came about when Luke Musgrave got hurt, and he just really had a hey, welcome to the league kind of game last week. So it could be our tight end. I would not be surprised because Matthew Golden has like some of the best separation stats in the first 2 weeks of the NFL. Maybe he's still going to start to get more targets. And I'm not worried about Golden because he's one of those guys that just, it fits what the Packers usually do with their rookies. They don't throw them right into the fire. It's usually just easing them in. And so with, like you said, Jaden Reed, who's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks because he had a collarbone surgery. He also had foot surgery as well. I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to start to see a little bit more coming Golden's way. But Romeo Dobbs has had some of the most efficient hands over the past few years for the Packers. On top of that, Wicks is good at route running, so you might see him get involved as well. So I wouldn't say we necessarily have a number one. I would say that Love probably has the best relationship with Romeo Doubs right this second. But yeah, it's your guess is as good as mine at who's going to be wide receiver one on Sunday.
So I would say for us, our wide receiver one is probably Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
But honestly, like even when we had Amari Cooper, I didn't feel like he was a number one wide receiver. I know Jerry Jeudy had that amazing game on Monday night last year against the Broncos, but I feel like at times he's not really involved in the offense. And when I look at our weapons, we've got Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, David Njoku, and a couple rookies in Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson. There's not really anybody that scares you. It's nobody that, like, for me, gets the red pen treatment where you're like, well, if we stop him, we stop the Browns' offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the biggest concern heading into this game is probably going to be your defense, right? We'll see if Josh Jacobs is able to be effective this week. But then it's going to be about Jordan Love just not turning the ball over. And thankfully, he hasn't had any turnovers the first 2 weeks. The protection has been pretty good. He got his first sacks this past week against the Commanders. But we'll see if guys like Zach Tom are going to play because he was out this past Thursday against Commanders. He was back at practice, which was a good thing. Same thing with Aaron Banks. So if that offensive line is back to full strength, I feel a lot better because it's like you said, even though you might not have another pass rusher, Myles Garrett is still Myles Garrett. And I really do like Denzel Ward. I think he's a phenomenal player. So it's going to still just be, playing their game, starting fast, but also just not turning the ball over. So yeah, the offense, we'll kind of see if there's anybody that's going to emerge. Judkins in his second game. We'll see if he has any more to his game. But overall, yeah, this is looking pretty solid for the Packers. But it's an AFC North opponent, so I can never sleep on them.
Yeah, this is your first game against the AFC North, our first game against the NFC North. It's also your first road game, but it comes in at an interesting spot for you because next week is the big one down in Dallas when Micah makes his return to the Cowboys.
Sure.
But do you think there's a chance that the Packers are almost overlooking the Browns and just looking ahead to week 4 in Dallas?
I don't think so, to be honest with you. One, I mean, going to Dallas is basically going to be a home game. That's where the Packers won the Super Bowl, and they usually have some good success there down in Arlington.
Right.
But I feel like the big question mark actually is, where is Micah Parsons going to be this week? Is he going to be on a snap count? Because of course you had the first week, he played less than 50% of defensive snaps. He was on a snap count again against the Commanders, and now having 10 days off, where's he going to be at? He wasn't really too happy after the Commanders game being on that snap count. Like, he wants to be on the field. So I would not be surprised if this is one of the final weeks, if they have one at all, where Parsons is not going to play nearly every defensive snap. He might be fully off a snap count when he goes back to Dallas, because I'm sure he's going to be extra motivated to play in that game. But yeah, I'm curious to see how much Parsons is going to be on the field against you guys.
Yeah. And I think you guys also have a bit of an advantage, well, in multiple areas. But the one I'm talking about is the fact that you guys played the Commanders on Thursday. So then you had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and all of this week to prepare for us.
Sure.
Whereas we had to get ready for Lamar and Derrick Henry. And now we have to come home and get ready for you guys. I don't know how significant of an advantage that is, but it feels like it's one of those unwritten advantages, if you will.
Yeah, right. Like when you're playing a short week on Thursday, and unfortunately that's when, you'll also see some injuries because the Commanders got beat up. I know Jaden Daniels, Austin Eckler's out for the season, and then the Packers got beat up too. Whether it was their offensive line, whether it was Jaden Reed. So there's always that element of, all right, you hope that they're good. But like you said, just having another 10 days to get ready, and also Micah Parsons to learn the playbook more and get more into football shape, and also guys to get healthier. Yeah, it's a little bit of an advantage because unfortunately for the Packers, and this is just for me, I hate it, they have an early bye. Right after you guys, they got Dallas, and then they got a week 5 bye, and then they got the Bengals, and then it's a long stretch of the season. So this is, I'm glad that they were able to have some time off with some guys banged up. Like I said, we'll see where that offensive line really is and if they're at full strength. But yeah, this will be a good test for the Packers O-line.
Yeah. By the way, I will be at this game on Sunday because, like I said at the beginning, this is a bucket list. I have been waiting for years to see the Packers in Cleveland. I went to the game last year when we played you in preseason, but for me that does not count because it's not the regular season. So this is going to mark the first time I've ever seen the Packers in Cleveland. We're going to be wearing our new jerseys, like those dark ones. I was kind of hoping
Alpha Dog.
Yes, the Alpha Dog jerseys. I was kind of hoping we would wear our white jerseys so I could see you guys in your traditional home jerseys, but whatever. But nonetheless, though, you guys have dominated us. Like the last time we played you was on Christmas in Lambeau.
Yes.
We had a chance to win that game, but Baker Mayfield just kept giving your defense Christmas presents.
Oh, yes, he did.
And the last time we played you in Cleveland, you beat us in overtime, and that was the season where we went winless.
Tough year.
Yeah. How does it feel going from playing the Commanders, who had a bad owner and terrible quarterback luck, to basically playing the AFC version of that?
Well, it's, what the difference always is like, when looking at the Commanders, it was like, all right, you have a mobile quarterback in Jaden Daniels, so you're always going to have to worry about that. They were a top 3 running team last year. So that was like week 1, they looked really good against the Lions, but can they carry that over a few days later? And the answer was yes. And obviously it's only week 2, but like the AFC North, the Packers have had some trouble with them in the future, and it feels like the Steelers they're always close games. The Ravens, that's gonna be a close game. The Bengals, the last time we played the Bengals, that was when nobody could hit a field goal, right? So like for me personally, I don't think anyone's sleeping on the Cleveland Browns. Like obviously, they're going through what they're going through, but Myles Garrett could be a game wrecker, and at the same time, when you don't see an opponent for a little bit, there's always that element of surprise. So I think it's going to kind of just be another game for the Packers. I don't think they're overlooking anybody.
Yeah, before the season, I predicted we would go 6-11. I'm probably being generous by saying that, looking at our schedule, because after you guys, we played the Lions, the Vikings. Shout out to my man, Minnesota Vikings man 28.
There you go, Adam.
Yep, Adam and I will be working together for that Vikings game.
That's awesome.
That's part of the reason why I was able to connect with you, is because I found him through you. So I appreciate that. And then we got the Steelers. And then as of right now, I'm predicting we don't get our first win until we play the Miami Dolphins at home in week 7.
We'll see about Dolphins. That's something. I mean, the Vikings, they're in an interesting spot right now, too, because they have a litany of injuries. JJ's out. Aaron Jones just went to IR. Van Ginkel was hurt. Their O-line is beat up. So there's opportunities there, man. It's just going to, we'll see where that one goes.
Yeah. I hate that game's in London because we haven't played the Vikings at home since 2009. It's honestly.
We don't talk about 2009 Vikings. We don't talk about them. No. They had Brett Favre back then. We don't talk about that.
No, I'm sorry for bringing up those teams for you. But but looking at this game, there's no way I can pick the Browns. I'm one of these Browns fans that I'm honest. I'm not delusional where I'm going to pick the Browns to win every game. No. If I don't think the Browns are going to win, I'm not going to pick them. I have the Packers winning pretty comfortably. I'm surprised it's only a 7.5 point spread, honestly, because Baltimore was a heavy favorite against us. And I think they were like 11 or 12 point favorites. So for Green Bay to only be 7.5, that's surprising to me.
Yeah, I mean, I could see this game like a 31-14 game. I can see it being a little bit closer if both defenses come to play. And kind of being maybe like a 21-10 game. I do have the Packers winning this one. I think that the shots that the Cleveland Browns have is that if their defense plays really well, if they get some turnovers, if they're able to get pressure on Jordan Love, like I said, we'll see what the state of the O-line is. So that's where I kind of see, the Browns could sneak away with the win, but right this second, I'm feeling pretty good about the Packers.
Yeah. And the good thing is you don't have to deal with the mobility factor with Joe Flacco. He's just
True.
he's just going to stand there. That's why, even though he's a rookie, I would feel better with Dylan Gabriel because he actually has mobility and could give your defense problems. But again, we're not.
And you know what, though? If that happens, like let's just say Flacco's having a bad quarter or a bad half and they throw a rookie in, that has happened. That's the first time that we saw Bailey Zappi when he came to Lambeau and he lit it up, and that was a really close game. So, hopefully, it stays with Joe Flacco because him being a statue back there definitely bodes well for our pass rush. But who knows? Maybe this is the second half. Dylan Gabriel comes in to shine.
I mean, he came in garbage time against Baltimore and, let us down the field and got us a touchdown and made it 41-17. So I guess somewhat respectable if you want to call it that. Most of the fan bases want Shedeur in there. And we were talking about the Cowboys earlier, and this feels like a good time to say it since I just brought up Shedeur. For me, our owner, Jimmy Haslam, is basically Jerry Jones, but without all the radio talk show hosting duties and being in front of the cameras. He can deny it all he wants. The reason we traded for Deshaun Watson, the reason we drafted Johnny Manziel and Shedeur Sanders is because of Jimmy. And I don't think the Browns are going to get out of this rut until he sells the team. I really fully believe that.
Which who knows if that's ever going to happen.
Considering he wants to build this
I know.
New stadium out in Brook Park, right by the airport. I mean, the only reason I want that new stadium is because I would love to host the men's Final Four. That would be amazing.
And they would, if it's a dome where they can close it, you guys would also host a Super Bowl. So
theoretically, yeah. I know you're out in Wisconsin now. Do you wish Lambeau had a roof or no?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. But by the time that the Bears get their new stadium, the Packers will be the only team to play outside in the NFC North, which I think is gross. That's why I respect the AFC North, because at least they play outside, because I'm a big, football, you go out there and play in the cold. So
yeah,
I'm all about it.
All right. Well, I know you got to get running. So greatly appreciate you taking the time to join me to talk Packers Browns. I will for sure be talking in the live stream, probably congratulating you for everything the Packers are doing. I'll post footage from the game, but this is right at the top of the bucket list, man.
I appreciate you. Thanks so much for having me.
Yep.
So take care. Go Pack, go.
McDuffie. Second down 12 from midfield.
Flea flicker? That does, well, not much of anything. It's 3rd and 7. Yay. Micah Parsons is coming after you, Grandpa Joe. Rashad Gary! Oh, he exploded! If we had Shador Sanders or Dylan Gabriel, they could have run and done something. But no, we have Grandpa Joe, who can't move because he's 40. Yay!
score. You'll time to buy your 50-50 raffle ticket before the raffle closes at the end of this quarter. Estimated jackpot.
Play action, Jordan Love, wide open, touchdown Packers.
Brandon McManus on the 5-yard line.
Maybe our offense could be good if we started Dylan Gabriel or maybe Shador. But no, we have Grandpa Joe.
Kick is good, making the score Green Bay 10. Your Cleveland Browns no score.
Somehow, someway, we are tied 10-10. I was not expecting this, I can tell you that. We just blocked a field goal, so that's interesting. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm not out there, it's for personal reasons. But Flacco has it. They're on the Packers side. It is 3rd and 2 right now. Flacco back to pass, looking over the middle, nice pass. 5 seconds. They got to run up to the line. They spike it. 2 seconds. 1st and 10, or 2nd and 10. Can Andre Schmidt redeem himself? Because he missed the extra point and the go-ahead field goal against Cincinnati. But he could redeem himself if he makes this kick right here. Let's see. And beats the Green Bay Packers. I was not expecting to even be in this position. It is a 55-yard attempt, I think. But Green Bay just called their final timeout. Trying to ice the kicker here. But we are going to stay live. Neither team has a timeout left. We are tied 10-10 with 2 seconds left in regulation. It's either the Browns win it and pick up their first win of the season, or we're heading for overtime. So here we go. Can he redeem himself for the Cincinnati game? Here we go. Kick is up, and the kick is good! The Browns have won it! The Browns have won it! I get a win against Tom Grossi! I get a win against Tom Grossi! So Norm, you are the only one I do not have a win against. I get a win against Tom Grossi. The Cleveland Browns knock off the Green Bay Packers. Whoa! The Browns win! I was not expecting them to win their first game of the season until week 7 against the Miami Dolphins. And somehow, someway, they beat the Green Bay Packers. They did it. I don't know. I truly don't know. This is just like the game against the San Francisco 49ers from 2023 where nobody expected us to win that game. And yet, somehow, someway, we did. Joe Flacco somehow, someway leads the Browns on a game-winning drive, and Andre Schmidt redeems himself for the Cincinnati game, and the Browns are victorious, 13-10 here at Huntington Bank Field against the Green Bay Packers. Tom Grossi, I got you today, buddy. Tom Grossi, I am 1-0 against you now. I am 1-0 against you. I'm completely speechless right now. I was not expecting this. Green Bay were 7.5-point favorites. I don't know. For most of this game, I was saying, forgive me, because I know this isn't proper English, but for most of this game, I was saying the offense had forgotten how to offense. And that the offense was wasting a gem of a game by the defense because Myles Garrett was putting in the work. Carson Schlesinger played great, and they were keeping the Packers' offense in check. And I was like, when is the offense going to wake up? I want Dylan Gabriel. And then the Browns pull this off. How? I don't know. But we are victorious 13-10 on a last-second field goal. And they beat the Green Bay Packers, one of the top teams in the NFC. Cannot believe this. It's on to Detroit next week. We'll see how that goes. But we are 1-0 against the NFC North. Browns are now 1-1 at home. And our next home game isn't until week 7 against the Miami Dolphins. So, from Huntington Bank Field in Cleveland, Ohio, I am UngarToTheMax, and the Browns are victorious. 13-10 over the Green Bay Packers.